man who charges famine prices?" I followed my mother to the door, and though my heart was heavy, I still hoped the Lord would pity us and Petachaya would call us back. But Petachaya was not that sort of a man. He knew we should turn back of our own accord, and so it was. My mother turned round and asked him to talk like a man. Petachaya did not stir. He looked at the ceiling and his pale face shone. We went off and returned once more. "A curious Jew, Petachaya," said my mother to me afterwards. "May my enemies have the plague if I would have brought the prayer book from him. It is at a famine price. As I live, it is a sin. The money could have gone for your school fees, but it's useless. For the sake of tomorrow, the anniversary of your father's death, peace be unto him, I have bought you the prayer book, as a favour. And now, my son, you must do me a favour in return. Promise me that you will say your prayers faithfully every day." Whether I really prayed as faithfully as I had promised or not, I will not tell you. But I loved the little book as my life. You may understand that I slept with it, though, as you know, it is forbidden. The whole Cheder envied me that little book. I minded it as if it were the apple of my eye, and now, this Chanukah, woe unto me, I carried it off with my own hands to Moshe, the carpenter's boy, who had long had his eye on it, and I had to beg of him for an hour on end before he bought it. I almost gave it away for nothing, the little prayer book. My heart faints and my face burns with shame. Sold. And to what end? For whose sake? For Benny's sake, that he might win off me another few kopecks. And how is Benny to blame if he wins at play? "That's what a spinning top is for," explained Benny, putting into his purse my last few groshens. "If things went with you as they are going with me, then you would be winning. But I am lucky and I win." And Benny's cheeks glowed. It is bright and warm in the house. A silver Chanukah lamp is burning the best oil. Everything is fine. From the chicken comes the delicious odour of freshly melted goose fat. "We are having fritters tonight," Benny told me in the doorway. My heart was weak with hunger. I flew home in my torn sheepskin. My mother had come in from her shop. Her hands were red and swollen from the cold. She was frozen through and through and was warming herself at the stove. Seeing me, her face lit up with pleasure. "From the synagogue?" she asked. "From the synagogue," was my lying answer. "Have you said the evening prayer?" "I have said the evening prayer," was my second lie to her. "Warm yourself, my son. You will say the blessing over the Chanukah lights. It is the last night of Chanukah tonight, thank God." If a man had only troubles to bear, without a scrap of pleasure, he would never get over them, but would surely take his own life. I am referring to my mother, the widow, poor thing, who worked day and night, froze, never had enough to eat, and never slept enough for my sake. Why should she not have a little pleasure too? Every person puts his own meaning into the word pleasure. To my mother there was no greater pleasure in the world than hearing me recite the blessings on Sabbaths and festivals. At the Passover I carried out the Seder for her, and at Chanukah I made the blessing over the lights. Was the blessing over wine or beer? Had we for the Passover fritters or fresh matzah? What were the Chanukah lights? A silver 8-branched lamp with olive oil or candles stuck into pieces of potato. Believe me, the pleasure has nothing to do with wine or fritters or a silver lamp. The main thing is the blessing itself. To see my mother's face when I was praying, how it shone and glowed with pleasure, was enough. No words are necessary, no detailed description, to prove that this was unalloyed happiness to her, real pleasure. I bent over the potatoes and recited the blessing in a sing-song voice. She repeated the blessing after me, word for word, in the same sing-song. She looked into my eyes and moved her lips. I knew she was thinking at the time, It is he in every detail. May the child have longer years." And I felt I deserved to be cut to pieces like the potatoes. Surely I had deceived my mother, and for such a base cause. I had betrayed her from head to foot. The candles in the potatoes, my Chanukah lights, flickered and flickered until they went out, and my mother said to me, "Wash your hands, we are having potatoes and goose fat for supper. In honour of Chanukah I brought a little measure of goose fat, fresh, beautiful fat." I washed myself with pleasure, and we sat down to supper. "It is a custom among some people to have fritters for supper on the last night of Chanukah," said my mother, sighing. And there arose to my mind Benny's fritters and Benny's spinning top that had cost me all I possessed in the world. I had a sharp pain in my heart. More than all I regretted the little prayer book. But of what use were regrets? It was all over and done with. Even in my sleep I had uneasy thoughts. I heard my mother's groans. I heard her bed creaking, and I imagined that it was my mother groaning. Out of doors the wind was blowing, rattling the windows, tearing at the roof, whistling down the chimney, sighing loudly. A cricket had come to our house a long time before. It was now chirping from the wall, "Chiree, chiree," and my mother did not cease from sighing, groaning, and each sigh and each groan echoed itself in my heart. I only just managed to control myself. I was on the point of jumping out of bed, falling at my mother's feet, kissing her hands and confessing to her all my sins. I did not do this. I covered myself with all the bedclothes so that I might not hear my mother's sighing and groaning and her bed creaking. My eyes closed. The wind howled and the cricket chirped, "Chiree, chiree, chiree, chiree," and there spun around before my eyes a man like a top, a man I seemed to know. I could have sworn it was the teacher in his pointed cap. He was spinning on one foot round and round and round. His cap sparkled, his eyes glistened, and his earlocks flew about. No, it was not the teacher. It was a spinning top, a curious living top with a pointed cap and earlocks. By degrees the teacher top, or the top teacher, ceased from spinning round, and in its place stood Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, whose story we had learnt the week before. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, stood naked before me. He had only just come out of the river. He had my little prayer book in his hand. I could not make out how that wicked king, who had bathed in Jewish blood, came to have my prayer book. And I saw 7 cows, lean and starved, mere skin and bones, with big horns and long ears. They came to me one after the other. They opened their mouths and tried to swallow me. Suddenly there appeared my friend Benny. He took hold of their long ears and twisted them round. Someone was crying softly, sobbing, wailing, howling and chirping. A man stood near me. He was not a human being. He said to me softly, "Tell me, son, on which day do you recite the mourner's prayer for me?" I understood that this was my father, of whom my mother had told me so many good things. I wanted to tell him the day on which I must say the mourner's prayer for him, but I had forgotten it. I fretted myself. I rubbed my forehead and tried to remind myself of the day, but I could not. Did you ever hear the like? I forgot the day of the anniversary of my father's death. Listen, Jewish children, can you not tell me when the day is? Why are you silent? Help! 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 God be with you! Why are you shouting? Why do you shriek? What is the matter with you? May the Lord preserve you! You will understand it was my mother who was speaking to me. She held my head. I could feel her trembling and shaking. The lowered lamp gave out no light but an oppressive stench. I saw my mother's shadow dancing on the wall. The points of the kerchief she wore on her head were like 2 horns. Her eyes gleamed horribly in the darkness. When do I say the Mourner's Prayer, mother? Tell me, when do I say